baby. Come on. Hey, sir? Yeah, man. Both of them. And both of those. And that one.
Alright, hey there groovy dudes and dudettes, stop it being hopping. This is my second ever Hare Scramble race. It's my second race ever. My first race on the 2022 KTM 300 XC-W. This is the 45th annual Peninsula race with the Virginia Championship Series, Hare Scramble Series. We're about to take off here at any point now. So I'm definitely a beginner. And like I said, it's only my second race ever. So I'm trying to start on the outside. I'm not really going for the whole shot or nothing because I know that most, if not all, these guys are probably a little better than I am. And as you saw there, the rider went down to that first corner. And as you'll see here in a second, right after the second corner, there's a nice little mud hole here, and we get another pair of riders down. So yeah, I'm trying to avoid all that kind of stuff from the start because once you hit these woods, you start to get pretty separated, and you can actually just kind of focus and race. So like I said, I'm a beginner. I've never ridden a bike this powerful before. I've had at the point of this race, I've had this bike for about a week, and I've only gotten about 4 hours on it. I just did the transmission oil change after the break-in procedure. Excuse me, after the break-in procedure. So I'm new to the bike. I'm new to Hare Scramble racing. I'm really just trying to get a feel for it. My first ever race I did was on a Honda CRF 250F, and I had quite the experience. I had a mechanical failure that kind of cut my race short, and I was only able to complete one lap. Basically, I couldn't shift the bike. But I noticed a huge difference in that bike, in this bike. Obviously, the power difference, but the suspension travel, the like how it feels between your legs, and just the flickability and the nimbleness of the bike is quite drastic. So this course, being on the peninsula, this is about a half an hour southeast of Richmond, Virginia, give or take. It's obviously really, really tight. These wood sections are extremely tight. There's not a lot of optional paths here and there, and you'll see. I bang my bars up against these trees quite a few times. I'm actually thinking about cutting those down a little bit. It's also really muddy. What does not show up on camera is how muddy this track is. You get, even like the flat straights, there's a thin little layer of mud on there. So if you spin that tire a little bit, or if you get a little throttle happy, you're going to end up spinning the tire a little bit. So every corner, it's really imperative that you're like hitting these ruts and hitting these little mini berms and stuff. If you miss one, you're definitely going to pay for it, which I did a few times out there for sure. It's also really bumpy. The camera's not going to show how bumpy it is. So like braking bumps and things like that, and even bumps within these little berms and stuff, it just really shakes you up. So for a beginner rider like myself, I'm in the 30 plus C class. That's an extra complication, so something to deal with for sure. Also, I will post in the description below how I placed in this race. I have no idea at this point of the recording. I know I didn't place very well. in my class, let alone overall. But this was the first time where I actually felt like I could keep up a little bit. I finished two fully complete laps when they finally waved the checkered on me. I think I just barely missed seeing a third lap. We got a late start this morning, so I'm wondering if we might have gotten cut short a little bit. Who knows? This was also a little bit of a longer course from what I can tell from researching some of the other races in the VCHSS class of races here in Virginia. And then one more comment. You'll notice that some of these camera angles aren't the greatest. I'm playing the new 2021 AMA rules state that you cannot have a GoPro or anything attached to your helmet. So I'm trying this shoulder strap mount, and in my previous race, I had the camera angle down, which gave a good overall view, but it didn't give this good of a view when I was sitting down. So now I've got the camera flipped, which gives. Yeah, I'm just commenting there on how slick this stuff is. It was so slick everywhere. But so this camera angle gives you just a little bit better view when sitting down, but it sacrifices the view when standing up. You see kind of like all bike. But that's a good thing I was pretty lazy in this race, so you don't see too much standing up. Basically just in the really bumpy sections and in the straights. So this first lap, I'm really taking it easy. Again, trying to get to know the bike, trying to get to know how it dips into corners and how it comes out of them, how the power band hits, what gearing is best for certain terrains, and like how tight some of these corners are. I kept going between second and third. I obviously wanted to be in third as much as possible. Some parts were just a little bit too slick for me to really be up in third for too long, and I had to drop her down into the second gear. I'm also getting used to these tires and playing with the different PSIs. So I think I'm still at about 10 PSI in the rear. I'm running the tubeless system, so I got 10 PSI in the rear and about 14 or 15 PSI in the front tire, up from 10 from a previous trail ride several days ago before this video. So I'm going slow through a lot of this stuff because my first ever race, I only did one lap and it took me like 50 minutes because of that mechanical error, and I just got completely physically exhausted. So goal here,
oh, I missed that berm and I paid for it,
is to eliminate those kind of mistakes where I'm missing berms and stuff and just enter into like a flow state and ride until I see the checker flag. And it was about halfway through my first lap when I finally started to feel much more comfortable. It doesn't look like it, but I am weighting the pegs through a lot of this stuff. Which I know is kind of like more of a quad burn than just straight up standing. But I'm weighting the pegs. I'm still getting used to how the suspension reacts. I haven't touched the suspension at all, by the way. Again, yeah, that was my first crash of 2, if I remember. Not sure what happened there. I ran into the tree that was obviously easily avoidable.
all good.
I think I just didn't have my braking done before the corner. Again, it was really slick, and I'll say it again throughout this video, but it was very, very slick out there, even through sections like this. Here we could really open it up quite a bit, but I don't know where there's going to be like a muddy, rutted section. It's also my first time ever seeing this course. I don't really know what to expect. Like this corner right here, I was just sliding right there. I totally blew through it, but not a lot of time wasted there. Speaking of time wasted, I am definitely not going for the win by any means. In fact, I left this part of the video in on purpose.
Say again? I fried the clutch.
Oh, I did that last race. That sucks. Hydraulic?
Yeah. It won't change gears.
So what do you do when you burn out a hydraulic clutch?
It just doesn't change gears. I had it happen once. It just gets stiff and doesn't want to change gears.
Dude, that sucks, man.
I just had to change gears coming out of there. I had to pull it in and freaking yank it.
I wanted to stop for a water break, so I stopped and chatted with this guy. Make sure he was okay and everything.
Cool down, it might get you out, right?
Yeah, I was gonna go either this way because we got 14 sections and we're on the 9th section. I don't think it's gonna last for.
Unless you can do like second all the way through. Yeah. Oh no, you still
For
need
me
it.
as a beginner, half the fun is racing,
Shoot,
half the
man,
fun is meeting cool people
sucks,
like
dude.
this guy.
Sorry to hear it, man.
I got a nice open start right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
To the front.
Yeah, that happened to me last race. But it was a cable clutch, so I could at least limp mode out of there.
Yeah, that's true. I just rebuilt.
I'm definitely not trying to win my class, not by any means. I'm just trying to ride the whole time
A few months ago, it just got
and
stiff.
get better.
It moved.
Maybe in a year or two, I might try and actually be competitive with some of these cats. But for now, I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
I fried the clutch.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna limp through the rest of this course.
Good luck.
So I got a breather, I got a water break, and I just set back out. It was fun to chat with that guy. I do see that he made it back to the pit later on.
Trust it. That's gonna get.
Some of these berms, I just had to get used to just laying the bike into them and trusting them, especially with how slick it was. Every single berm had some degree of mud in it. So, like, my tires were caked up by the time I got back to the truck. But it was so much fun. I'm not complaining at all. Please don't take that as complaining. This was a fun amount of mud. A really, really fun amount. So this section right here is nicknamed the I-95. It's just wide open, flat. I think there's one pretty shallow turn coming up here, but I hadn't been through this section yet, so I don't know if there's any major dips. Again, I got some really soft suspension, and I don't know if there's any sharp turns, so I don't know how quickly to approach this turn, for example. So on the second time through that, on my second lap, I definitely go through it there a little bit faster, but I'm also a little bit more tired at that point too from being on the second lap. But this was a really cool section, and then just diving right back into the woods. A lot of that. This is another cool little area, just kind of skirted around the pits. Ooh, I remember that. Yeah, that surprised me a little bit, even though I knew it was coming, because I parked right there on the left. I was able to scope out that little section. But like this section here, I hit it so much faster in my second lap. One, there's more ruts and berms to go through, but I'm still getting a feel for this terrain, this bike, these tires, how everything handles all together. And as a beginner, it takes me a minute to really fall into a groove to it. There's that guy who made it back to the pits. And diving back into the woods. Few pretty muddy sections like this here.
Point and go.
Point and go.
Okay, steady.
Must have gotten some water into the microphone on the GoPro. And then I kept wiping it, taking my hand off the clutch, and almost falling doing that. But I am having an absolute blast at this point. At this point, I realize I'm not going to gas out on this race, not even close. Like, my adrenaline isn't too high. I'm properly hydrated and fueled up and rested before the race. So I'm having a blast just running my own little thing here through the woods, just trying to get better. I get passed by folks here and there, and of course I pull over and let them go. And then I try to follow them for a little bit. I notice I'm a lot faster when I'm following people. Feels like you can pick your eyes up and point them farther down the trail than when you're all by yourself. With this GoPro setup, I've got it on max like stabilization and horizon lock, so this thing appears extremely stable. The footage does, but if you want to get a good sense for, oh yeah, I forgot I crashed right in front of these dudes in their boombox. Who crashes in front of a group this cool? Come on now.
I hope you guys still think I'm cool.
I think they were just being nice. I mean, one of those guys had a beard. That was really weird, though. I crashed twice, and one time it happens right in front of these dudes out there with a boombox. It was just odd. But yeah, if you want to get a good sense of how choppy the course is, you really just have to look at the bike and how it is interacting with the terrain, because this hyper smooth technology on these GoPros really eliminates a lot of that stuff. So here we are. This is that first and second turn. So it's my second time through this area. I'm still on my first lap, I believe. Feeling pretty good. A little bit tired here and there.
I don't remember going through scoring.
I think I'm on lap 2, but I'm wrong.
Must be all transponder.
It was a little bit of a confusing course. I talked to some of the other riders, and they were confused as well. But I think I'm on lap 2 because I crossed through the finish area there. But I'm not. We enter scoring right here, just shortly after. And then begin lap 2. Those wide open sections are so much fun on this bike. It's got way more power than that little CRF 250F. More power than I know what to do with at this point, but I'm really enjoying the bike. I finally started getting used to the just the throttle response and how quickly a two-stroke spools up. And now at this point, I'm starting to focus more on the track a little bit, managing where my front tires goes, like on these super deep ruts, just trying to stay out of those, and picking different lines. Here I am, just kind of remarking about how many trees I hit the first lap with my handlebars. I'm really thinking about chopping these down about a 1/4 inch on each side, or maybe, we'll see, but
yeah, look, the wheels just, stuff, but it's all mud and slippery roots.
Yeah, second time through this course, it got even sloppier. And I'm just talking how I'd like to just kind of wheelie through a lot of these rough sections, just using the power to lift the front end up, but it's just too sloppy, too slippery. So that got chewed out. Those guys were trying to repair that.
I wonder if that ruined his race. Okay, third gear.
Still working between the third gear, second gear thing. Here it's a little smoother, a little faster. Can get up into third gear no problem, even if you're just in the bottom of it. But, you know, I have to drop down in the second quite a bit still. The second it tightens up. I remember seeing this cat out there in the yellow and blue, several times. He and I kind of went back and forth a little bit. He'd stop to take a break, and I'd just, you know, go cruising by, and then ditto, I'd stop to take a break, and he'd go cruising by. And I'm almost certain he finished ahead of me. But it was fun to follow him. Again, I felt faster when I was following someone. Still sitting down, but weighting the pegs in a lot of these spots. Kind of hovering. Still tired and lazy at this point. And here I let someone pass, you know, as I did many times. So she goes passing by, and I'm like, okay. Another opportunity to try and ride behind someone. See if I can't keep up, maybe.
For a little bit. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I quickly realized that I'm probably not going to catch her or stay with her for very long.
She's probably got fresh tires. Mine have 5 hours on them.
So naturally, I find a quick excuse to blame it on. Now, I continue to try and stay with her for as long as I possibly can, and even try to like catch her, but sure enough, she slowly but surely continues to just pull away. And she just finally disappears on me. I think I get one more glimpse of her later on, but she gone.
These roots.
Yeah, right there, I almost lost it on a root. I remember that.
That's a bad one.
As far as the roots go, that was the closest call I had, where I almost lost the bike.
Maybe I'll get her on one of these straights.
And I think I'll get her on a straight, but that opportunity never comes because she's so far ahead of me. This is a neat little section. It widened up a little bit. And again, I wasn't familiar with the trail at all, so I didn't really know whether there was a 90-degree turn coming up or not. But some of these sections through the forest where they widened up a little bit were quite a bit more fun. So here, just a little bit more confident through this part. Diving back into the woods, and then I'm pretty sure
Oh!
Yep. Got my arm pretty good there.
So lightly crushed that tree with my right hand guard and arm. But I have two of them. Rocking the elbow pads today. Yeah, baby!
I'll take any chance to get excited about anything out there.
Getting excited.
The whole idea is just to have a good time, right? Just not too excited here. Go making mistakes. And here you can't really, the water's so murky and muddy, you can't see anything. You don't know if there's a rock or a rut that's really deep that you might slip into. So some of those sections got a little bit treacherous where you couldn't really see the bottom of the water. Yeah, this part was really slick. But fun. It kind of made it fun. Like, yeah, I'm definitely not trying to come across as complaining. I almost lost it there. The slick corners made it a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is definitely getting way more chewed out. I'm also
Just got to realize how much more run it out it's getting. Still fighting the trees.
I might have to cut these bars.
Nice little section before diving
Hey,
back
you need
in.
help? You good? Yeah. Let me go park.
And again, I know I'm at the bottom of my class here, so if I see someone over there that needs help pulling their bike out, well, I'm gonna go do it, because that could very easily be me, just hoping for the next guy to stop, to come help give me this thing a
What
tug.
do you
His
want me
rear
to do,
tire got
tug?
buried pretty deep,
You want me to tug?
Yeah.
All right, you count
so
it
he was like fighting an uphill route or something,
down. Come on, baby, come on.
trying to get that rear tire unstuck from the muck.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Say again?
It's the same time I took last time and I sailed it.
Yeah, oh yeah, first lap, that wasn't so bad.
So he was just saying he made it through that section no problem first go around.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it got rutted up
Sloppier
and
than
chewed
lap
out.
one.
Yeah. Here,
Front
lap
tire's
2.
like
Look
an
at
ice-
it's hard to tell on camera.
ice
This
cube.
is so sloppy.
Holy crikey.
This everything is mud. Everything is mud. Again, in a fun way.
Oh, that's good.
Still banging trees.
Yep.
Letting people pass. Stalling, keeping it going. Man, that was a rough.
Man, those force
That was a
strokes,
rough
they
50
think they're a lot
feet.
closer than they are.
I'm just commenting how some of the four strokes sound like they're right up behind you, and then you look back and they're 40 feet back. It seems like it's easier to hear the two strokes coming up on you than the four strokes.
Hit both of those trees, both of them.
Here, I'm just banging more trees.
And both of those.
Another one.
And
Another
that
one.
So let this guy go.
Taking a quick breather, letting some guys pass, and then back on it. There's one of those sections where it widened up a little bit. It's back into a field section. Steady, steady. And there you do it.
Oh yeah, front's getting swirly.
Yeah, my front was getting a little squirrely on those sections through there. It got a little muddy, and I remember blowing through this turn the first time, so I
Behind me.
got it right that time. Took it pretty slow. Oh, yeah. On the brakes, on the brakes. Is this him? Yeah. Okay, so there was this one cat. We just kept going back and forth with each other. It seemed like we were pretty well paced, at least at this point in the race. This guy ahead of me, he would lead for a while, and I'd be, he'd be, because he's leading, I'm pushing myself to stay up there with him and try and catch him as best I can. And then maybe he'd take a quick 5-second break, and I'd pull ahead of him, and then he'd be following, and then he'd come past me when I took a quick 5-second break. So we traded off a few times, but it was just fun to have somebody to pace off of there. There's that I-95 corridor that they nicknamed. I'm hitting it with a little bit more speed this time. These sections were a lot of fun. Once I knew that there weren't any big washouts or anything, and that this turn here wasn't so bad, it was slick. It was slick, but it was just so exciting to let this bike breathe. took this one a little too hard. And then diving back into the woods.
Oh yeah, that's the
That
one.
same route that got me the first time. So I caught back up with this guy finally again,
He is in my class.
and I realized he's probably in my class. We're just both kind of cruising here. You know, I'm sure he's tired too. And I feel like there's spots where I can pass him no problem, but then again, I know that if I pass him, he'd probably feel the same in certain areas. So I just make the decision, I'm like, alright, well, I don't pass people a lot, barely at all. I'm going to give it a go here. So I try and get this this grass on the right-hand side where it's a little grippy. Sure enough, we both get passed by this dude. He was hauling. And then sure enough, right around this corner, he eats it in this puddle. Well, puddle. But I see that his airbox is out of the water and he springs right back up. So I'm like, alright, this guy's good to go. Otherwise, I would have stopped and helped him too. But he looked like he was alright. So here
This is where it gets real slick again.
Oh yeah, that's right. The entire trail, not just the ruts and stuff, slicks up right here. But at this point, my camera's about to run out any second, so I just kind of finish up the course.